Everybody. Sorry for the little bit late delay because just as we were getting ready to go live, Deborah called me and she said, "Is there something wrong?" I said, "No, I had to answer your call." She said, "The countdown happened, but you didn't go live." So anyway, here we are. I'm Linda B., Chakra Psychic. My business is Chakralicious, and I have a very special guest today who is one of my, well, really, she's a fabulous person, one of my favorite people, and it's Patty Goonis. She took my Heal the Healer program last year, this year?
Yeah, last October.
Last October. So, and that was a 2-month program, and then she's just been blossoming ever since. But she has a very important and heartfelt story to tell. So that's why I invited her on and thought you guys would benefit from her story and her wisdom. So, hi, Patty. Welcome.
Hi, Linda. How are you?
Good. Good. How are you feeling about being here today?
Oh, I'm nervous, but you're very supportive, so I know
Of
you'll walk
course.
me through it. So
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good. So we've got, yay, Sharon's here. So, Patty, here's some information about her contact info. And so I have a program called Heal the Healer. And the reason why I put this together is for those of you that may not know me, I am Linda Bertaut. I'm a chakra psychic, but in my past life, I have been an esthetician teaching Reiki and gemstone therapy to other hands-on healers. And it was about after 2001, after 9/11, that I got my calling to start teaching energy healing to people. I lost my mom to depression and suicide when I was 13. It was very traumatic, and that set me off on having bouts of my own depression, which lasted until I was, well, probably in my mid 30s. When I was 30, I chose to heal from depression, and the things that I did and experimented with were energy related. I learned Reiki, gemstone therapy, a lot of things that I got channeled from my own spirit guides. And I was able to put together ways and methods for other people to heal themselves from depression and anxiety. And really, one of the things I discovered about my mom and the reason why she and other people would take their own life was that she lost her identity. And when she lost her identity, she lost her will to live. So if somebody is going through a traumatic change or even just any type of change and they lose touch with who they are, then, that can cause some major issues. So I put together the Heal the Healer program and started promoting that, I don't know, 20 years ago. And Patty was one of the people that took the program. So anyway, Patty, you want to tell a little bit about yourself?
how do I condense my life? I
Well,
I'm a mother of 3. I'm a paraplegic. I have MS. I am a retired librarian that used to work with teens and kids, and um, I'm undergoing a spiritual awakening, which is enhancing my intuitive abilities, and I'm training to be a shaman. So people are starting to look like animals to me.
that's funny.
And I'm not just talking about people looking like they're dogs. I yes, I'm developing a whole new kind of way of looking at the world. So um, it's opening a lot of horizons for me. And um, although when I look back, I know I've been on this journey for a while, but I think by starting the Heal the Healer program, that was really the catalyst, to really get me moving.
Mm-hmm.
And you were right about, people losing their identity, because,
Mm-hmm.
you know, being forced to retire from a job that I loved, and honestly, if they hadn't pushed me out, I would still be there today. I know that because I loved it. But now that I look back, I think, wow, it was kind of negative. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the things they did that I thought were in support of me were not necessarily the truth. So,
Mm.
but now I have this opportunity. I have all this time on my hands. I mean, I still have my kids to raise. I have a 29-year-old, a 21-year-old, and a 16-year-old who keeps crashing his car. But
Uh-oh.
other than that, um, I'm kind of an empty nester, looking for a new lease on life. And it was reluctant. I was reluctant to leave that job, but I'm so happy that they, in retrospect, got rid of me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was hard. It was very hard. I've had to face a lot of hard things with this disease, and I am a person who loves her freedom. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
my husband and I, we've been married. I've known that man for 40 years.
Wow.
I met him when I was 18, and I lied and told him I was 19 because I thought I sounded like jailbait. I don't know. But it's okay. He lied too. So we got over we had a bump, we had a rough start, but hey, here we are. And I
Well, and he and your family have been a big part of your success also, with
yes.
moving into and kind of accepting the situation as things happen, because they've been so supportive. But can you
That's
go back a little bit and talk about the beginning stages when you started to have signs that something was wrong? And can you
yeah.
talk about what you were like before that, and then how things started to change and shift?
Um so like I said, I have 3 kids, and I was diagnosed when my oldest was 6 months old.
Wow.
So I've never really felt like I've been a mom without also having to deal with this disease. So,
Yeah.
and I wonder sometimes if I would be a different mom because of the disease. And
Mm-hmm.
nevertheless, my daughter was born, we were living in South Florida at the time, and it was just me and my husband. I didn't really have, I didn't have any family or anything around. And then, of course, when the most precious thing in your life arrives, you don't want to trust that person with a random stranger, and the only people I knew to watch my kid were people that I worked with, and they were working. So I had my mother-in-law, who lived in Arizona, offer to watch our kid. And the reason I had moved to Florida in the first place is because my own mother said, I'm not a babysitting grandma. So
Mm.
I figured, well, I could go anywhere then. If I'm going to have
Yeah.
to rely on others, then I'm just, I could start fresh somewhere else. So,
Right.
I got my master's in library science, and it was kind of a recession at that point here in Michigan. And so I wasn't really able to find jobs locally. So I expanded my search, and I ended up in Florida. So, um, but yeah, so we had this baby, and my husband and I were fighting about moving to Arizona. And he kept telling me, don't trust my mother. Don't trust my mother. Because,
Mm.
he knows her better than I did. But
Yeah.
then one day he came home from work and he said, okay, let's go. And I was like, wait a minute, because we've been fighting and fighting and fighting. And then he doesn't
Mm-hmm.
do that. He doesn't do that, change his mind on a dime like that. So, we made the option, the choice to move to Arizona to be near my mother and father-in-law so that they could watch our child. And Linda, honestly, we were there for a year. And if I could just take Emma out of the picture, I would like to erase that entire year out of my life.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
like it was that traumatic. Because
Wow.
I went there, I didn't have a job. And that was, besides being this new mom, that was my whole identity, my career. And, I get there and my mother-in-law decides to take a 2-month vacation. So I'm left scrambling for childcare anyway. And I eventually got a job, which I had to commute, nevertheless. And then I started getting these weird symptoms. Like my tongue was burned and I thought maybe I'd burned it on coffee, like, cause it was numb. And it went on for like a week. And I thought, no,
Wow.
if I had burned it, it wouldn't still be bothering me.
Right. Right.
And so I did end up, I'm in a new state. I'm a new mom. Got to establish new doctors, the whole thing. So I did go to a primary care physician and he said, well, it could be this, could be this, could be this, or it could be MS. And I'm like, yeah, no, I mean?
Right.
Like,
right.
there's no history of it in my family. I had been otherwise healthy. I mean, I'm overweight, but other than that, so every test, not many people with MS have this happen, but every test they did came up positive. Wow. So it was very clear that that's what it was.
Yeah.
And at some point they took spinal fluid. So they had to do a lumbar puncture. And as they were doing it, I just started to cry because I knew what was coming. I could just tell.
Yeah.
And the doctor was like, am I hurting you? And I'm hurting you. I'm like, no, no. But I could just feel it was going to fall.
Yeah.
The egg was getting ready to fall. So yes, I got diagnosed with MS, and immediately they put me on this medication, which was thousands of dollars a month. Mostly covered by insurance, but not all. And, like I said, I had just started working. So it was a mess. So we had to go on we were on this strict budget. We didn't have, we were living in this podunk town. I mean, somebody could look it up. It's called Black Canyon City, Arizona.
Really? I haven't even heard of that.
It is like an hour north of Phoenix.
Okay.
And it's like a bedroom community. And it just wasn't my cup of tea coming from an urban, suburban environment. Right. And people in Arizona are kind of rugged, like the environment. And so I wasn't really having I wasn't, being accepted. People weren't friendly to me. So anyway, that whole year, here it is. I have a 6-month-old, and now I have to deal with the fact that I have a chronic illness. And the first person that I thought about when I got diagnosed was not me. It was my husband, because he had such a difficult childhood and stuff. And we were in love. We were in love with our baby, and we were in love with each other. And we had, plans for the future that obviously didn't include a chronic illness.
Right.
So he's always been so supportive, though. I mean, that man has never wavered. And he did the kindest thing for me when, all my siblings were back here in Michigan at the time. And, of course, I let my parents know that I got this diagnosis, and none of my siblings called me. Not one of them.
Seriously?
So, yeah.
Wow.
So I get this serious diagnosis, and I get radio silence. So Matt, he went behind my back and he called them and he told them, you better call your sister because this is really a blow and she needs to hear from you. So here's this man, drumming up support for me behind my back, and I'm getting these calls from my brothers and I'm like, I was kind of surprised, because I hadn't heard. And so he didn't tell me, but, years later, I had to call them to tell them to call you. So obviously things weren't really working out for us in Arizona. So we had a decision. We could either move back to Florida or we could move back to Michigan. And we chose Michigan because that's where my family was, and I had no idea, how my health would be. And
Mhm.
of course, I had this newborn that I could use help with. And
Right.
so we moved back here, and that first winter, I got an apartment with free rent. With free heat, because I thought, oh man, I'm going to be so cold, coming from Arizona back to Michigan.
Right.
But actually, I was hot.
Oh,
I heated up. You know what I mean? So I don't
is
think
that
I
what
really.
happens with MS? Is that one of the symptoms, or just for
No,
you?
I think the heat does affect me weirdly, but
Hmm.
I just think that my internal temperature had been raised by living in the desert. But
Oh,
maybe that's
right.
me.
Yeah.
But
So, okay, so let's fast forward a little bit. And then you had two more children,
yes,
and
so
then you started working as the librarian. So, how
well,
did that come to be?
well, when we first came back, I got a job when Emma was I think she was probably 3 when we came back.
Okay.
2.5, 3. So I got a good job at a brand new library, and I was really excited about it. And
And you had gone to school for this, correct?
yes, I have my master's in
Okay.
information and library studies from the University of Michigan. So the kids are like, Mom, you always tell people that. I'm like, well, I am proud of it.
Yeah, you should be. You
I
should be.
started I started at U of M as a 16-year-old, and I
Wow,
graduated when I was 20
that's great.
with my undergrad degree. And
Yeah.
yeah, here's the thing. We were talking beforehand about you asked me if I was nervous, and I said, I have your support. And that's really important. And I've realized that in my life, I haven't really had a lot of people supporting me, like in the
Mm,
way that I needed at the
yeah.
time. So, I before my mom passed, I asked her one time, "How in the world did you let me go to college at 16?" I didn't even have a driver's license, and I
Oh,
had a student loan check for thousands of dollars that I could not cash because I
oh,
only had my student ID.
oh, wow.
I had to go home like 40 miles away to take my driver's test to get my driver's license so that I could get my check cashed and pay for my tuition.
Wow.
And I had one pair of shoes, and I walked holes in them. I had holes in those shoes. And
Wow.
here I am at this, everybody, whatever. It's fine. I've always been kind of an outsider, and I'm kind of used to it, I guess, because I grew up in Detroit, in the city, you know,
Hmm.
and I was a minority. I was a minority, a racial minority my whole life until I got to college.
Hmm.
And that was a wake up. So nevertheless, I did ask my mom about how in the world did you let me go away to school? Because I don't even let my son drive, and he's
Oh, you're frozen. Okay, wait a second
back.
here.
Are
There
we
we
back?
go. You're back.
Okay.
And you were
My
we
mom said
stopped
that
hearing you. Was you don't even let your son drive, and then
no.
you got out. Okay.
Okay. And then I asked my mom, how did you let me go away to school? And she's like, Patty, I couldn't stop you. And I thought, well, okay. I think I must have a strong will.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've always, and that's another thing about this spiritual awakening. Like I always thought, man, I guided myself pretty well. I made some good
Hmm.
decisions in life that,
Hmm.
um, that, like, how was I so bold to know that I could go away to school and be successful at that young of an age?
Hmm.
But now I realize it was, it's not me, it's my guides. It's,
Yeah.
it's the support that I have, the
Hmm.
supernatural support that I have.
It's like, how could you not do that? When you're on your path, it's like, how can you not do what's innate within you? And one of the things we discovered in the Heal the Healer program is that your chakra personality type is the fifth chakra, the throat chakra. which really is the sage. And this is the person who values all kinds of knowledge and education. So it made sense that you went the route that you did, and you became an expert on so many things that in going to a library, you have to have somebody who knows a lot about everything.
Well,
And that's
thank
you.
you. Truthfully, I didn't think that I'd be a very good librarian because I kind of wasn't really good at trivia or anything like that. My husband's much better than I am, but no, I loved working in the library, being supported. I mean, surrounded by books. It was my happy place. It was my happy, still is my happy place. And I have this love for books and kids and creativity. And that's another thing that I've really, really tapped into since doing the program with you is my creativity. And I'm so happy. Yeah. I'm so happy. Like this was so cool. The other morning I was laying in bed and my husband was laying next to me and he had already been out up and about and he can't. And I said, what have you been doing today? What have you been doing already this morning? And he's like, I took the dog out to pee. I did this, I did that. And I'm like, so we wrote a song. We composed a song together about the day in the life of an old guy. And it actually came out pretty funny.
It did. But that's not your first song that you wrote.
No, actually.
You wrote a poem that ended up being a song that a lot of people got involved in.
Yes, well, let me backtrack a little. I found the YouTube community during the pandemic, the psychic YouTube community. And because I was going crazy, like I couldn't believe that this was a real life. You know what I mean? That we had that person telling us those things. And I just had to find somebody that was reasonable. So Donald Trump brought me to YouTube, but then I started, really working on my spiritual awakening. So I think that's the more important point here.
Yeah. Right. I think that COVID really, we had to isolate so much that it really did force us to go within, either go crazy or start seeking, or both, right?
Yes. And the nice thing, I don't say this often, but the nice thing about having a chronic illness is that you're used to anything. You're prepared for anything. Like I can't plan. Like I really can only plan like maybe a day in advance, just because everything is always so up in the air. You know, like getting out of the house and getting ready and because my husband does all of that for me, Linda. Like I've lost a lot of independence, and that's been very, very difficult.
Yeah.
So instead, I tell myself a different story. It's like, for instance, I got a new chair. I got a new power chair last week. Do you know how much this thing cost? $25,000.
Wow. Wow.
Thank God it was covered by insurance. But $25,000.
Wow.
And so I got this chair and so I decided to decorate it with some bumper stickers. I'm like, why walk when you can fly? Why walk it? Why walk when you can fly? And that's my new motto, It's like, forget trying to get strong enough to walk. I need to get strong enough internally to be able to fly, to be able to just explode with light. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. And you better put a horn on that thing.
Oh, it's got a horn. It's got a horn. I think.
Watch out. You're a
yeah. I use that horn at my son's football game so that he knows. So he knows that I saw that play. So anyway, this I lost my train of thought, but with my oldest, we knew we wanted to have more kids, but we were reluctant because of the disease, and so we put it off for a long time. And I think I kind of begged my husband to have a second kid. And it took me 8 years. That's how stubborn he is.
Oh, wow.
So
But you
we had
had
our
two more.
yeah,
Yeah.
we had our second one, and um, she was born a girl, but now she's a boy. He's a boy, and
Mhm.
then the third one was kind of an oops baby, my little boy, 5 years later. So and I often joke. I said if it was up to me, I probably would only have the one kid, but Spirit and Matt and whoever sent me two
Mhm.
more. So, um, it was a busy life with the young kids, running here, running there, and swim team and basketball and football and soccer and all of that, and work, full-time work for both me and my husband. So, we led separate lives. Like I would often take the kids, like say to the water park for the weekend or whatever, and he would chill out here. So we led these separate lives, but we would reconvene, at night or on the weekends or whatever. And
Mhm.
so my worry when I was stopped working, well, he stopped working a month later. That his which and then 2 months later was COVID. So we were all locked in the house together, all five of us. And it was hard. I
Yeah.
was worried that Matt and I wouldn't have anything in common, nothing to talk about, that we would just be, at each other's throats all day long. But Linda, it's been lovely. I mean, this program, this these things that I've been doing to change my mindset and to, broaden my vision and really enhance my love. I've
Mhm.
decided I'm going to have to love my way out of this one. There's no other way. I can't fight. I've tried to fight. I've been fighting, 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 but fighting doesn't help. And I'll give you an example. I have a medical procedure done once a month, and I've been, it's been about 3 years now that I've had it done once a month. So, I mean, I know all the nurses. It's kind of like, it's a nice thing to look forward to, my monthly visit, except that it hurts, the procedure that they do. And there's some that are better at it than others. And, it can be bloody and it can be painful and sometimes not effective. And so I had one of the nurses tell me, look, because it's on my bladder. She said, you got to love your body. You got to love your bladder. You just got to love your organs. Love them. Just send them love. And so ever since then, every time I just literally send my organ love. And I haven't had a problem since. It's been 6 months. Six,
Wow.
six, procedures, nothing, no problem, without a hitch. And that was done by the person that I liked least in the office. You know what I mean?
Oh,
The
wow.
one
Well,
that
see,
made me bleed before. And um,
so you weren't pissed off anymore at your bladder, and it started to shift for you and
yes, I
cooperate with you.
mean, you can understand. Most people can't understand how they would feel if they were, an ambulatory human being who could walk.
Mhm.
And then slowly, you lose the ability to walk. You are walking with a walker. And then you fall when you're walking with that walker. And then you decide, oh, I need something. First you start with the cane, then you get the walker, then you get the scooter, and then, you get the wheelchair. And it's a slow, drawn out it's a process that could really mess with your head quite a
Yeah.
bit.
Right. Right.
So, you know, it made me angry. I'll be honest. A lot of things I felt like my body just completely and utterly failed me.
Right. Well,
And
that's understandable. That's understandable. What would you say were the three biggest issues and then shifts that happened for you after you started doing the more spiritual work with the Heal the Healer program?
um well, I started to love myself more. Like I realized that I was just so hard on myself and my body and my circumstances and, my everything. I very critical, very self-critical. And I just thought, you know, I have to embrace who I am and what abilities I have at this point in time, right now, this
Mm-hmm.
point in time. I can't project what I want, to have happen or what happened in the past. I'm just going to have to deal with what is happening right now.
Right.
And I fought it a lot. I fought mentally, coming to terms with the fact that I'm probably going to be in a power chair for the rest of my life. So, um, which is a very scary proposition, but it has shifted my perspective. And I will tell you one incident that happened that really was the beginning of
Mm-hmm.
my perspective changing. And so I had this new walker, and it was the ones with the wheels, and like the four wheels. So it was really like to me, I wasn't really good at moving it, using it, but it was new, and so I was using it to leave the house on my way to work, and I fell, and I was by myself, and I fell by the grandfather clock. So I'm on the ground, and I'm looking at the grandfather clock. And I thought, wow, I've never really seen it from this angle before. And I was like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
like, how did all that dust get under there? Or wait a minute, that's where that thing went. It was under the couch. And so time slowed down. And I was just like tunnel vision. And I was just like, I can only deal with what's going on at this moment in time right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all. I got to focus on getting my butt off the ground here. And I got to focus on getting back, out the house without falling again. I've got to focus on getting in the car. I got to focus on driving to work. You know what I'm saying? So that is when I realized that I really had to like slow down. Like I just,
Mm-hmm.
time became different for me at that point because I can't rush. I can't rush. If I rush, I'm later than it makes it worse.
Right.
So my whole attitude had to come around to the fact that okay, you're gonna fall, or if you don't want to fall, you're gonna have to be in this chair all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then like I lost my ability to drive. My God. I started driving, when I was 16.
Right.
My
Right.
license. So, and I was always so independent,
Right.
and I mean, literally, Linda, it was scary. I kind of drove into a Potbelly's with the kids in the car.
You drove into what?
A Potbelly's restaurant.
Oh, no,
I
really?
couldn't stop. I had my
Oh,
foot on the
no.
wrong pedal. I mean,
Oh,
it was just, I didn't damage the restaurant, but I
okay.
scared the kids. I'll tell you.
Oh, I bet. Wow.
And so
Wow.
then, then my husband had to start picking me up at work.
Yeah.
And I worked until 9 o'clock.
Wow.
And so, yes, it was a gradual decline, but like I say, it seemed like it was slow and then quick, quick, quick.
Yeah.
Because, I fell at work a couple of times, and, they had to write incident reports about me. So I got a file.
Wow.
And eventually, I became a legal liability.
Mm-hmm.
So I thankfully was able to retire with a disability. So, but honestly, Linda, I saw myself working there until they had, until I was an old cat lady, age 80 with, 16 grandkids or whatever. That was,
Wow.
so my whole entire identity shifted.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And then here we've got Peace Mama, who's relating to you because she had a career she loved, and then she got a brain tumor. And after brain surgery, she was grieving about being differently abled. So you're speaking to somebody here in the group that's gone through, her own issues with that too. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Peace Mama. So I know that when you first came to me, well, you had a reading with Lalit, who's an incredible astrologer. And then there's three of us that met about a year and a half ago. It was Lalit and Deborah and I. In fact, Deborah has been helping me. Deborah, are you still here? I'm going to show Deborah's Grow Your Light. She's got a great YouTube channel. And, so if you're not already subscribed to Deborah, please subscribe to her channel, and please subscribe to my channel because I need more subscribers. And that would be great. So please like and subscribe. And she doesn't have yet, but she does have, you can book a session with her. So I'll put that up here too. And she's doing 30-minute tarot readings. So let's talk about now how things transformed for you. And one of the things that you told me, because I've got your contract that we did here, is that you felt like your creativity was blocked. And you have lots of ideas, but nothing concrete. And then you also wanted to really work on having work that fulfilled you. And you started to watch the different shows and get involved with the different psychics. And what happened? Did it spark something within you that's saying, hey?
yes, I think what it sparked, first of all, was a change in attitude, which was needed, very, very much needed. And, just this process of loving yourself, like loving yourself for who you are and where, embracing who you are at that time. And during the pandemic, I thought, oh my God, I have all this time to read. Being a librarian, I was like, yeah, I can just read all day.
Right.
This is great.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, oh my God, my brain, I don't know. I couldn't handle it. I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't find anything interesting. Something changed, like brain chemistry wise. And so I was distracted, and so I started taking a tarot class at my local metaphysical shop. Everything was shut down for COVID, but we did it, by Zoom. And
Thank goodness for Zoom, right?
Yeah.
Zoom saved so many of us.
I fell in love with the tarot, and I kind of fell in love with my instructor. Oh, he's so cute. He's like 26, so whatever. And it was a whole new arena of things to learn. And I was very intrigued and, wanting to expand my knowledge, and all of those metaphysical subjects.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I mean, once I started reading tarot, I was like, dang, I'm actually kind of good at this, like, wow.
That's great.
I started reading for my family, and they were like, oh, Mom, no, don't say that. So I had to stop. Really, I had to stop. It made them uncomfortable. But I realized that I needed some help. I needed some support. And, I found you by way of Lalit, and she had told me about your chakra psychic clearing and, the services that you offered. So we did a clearing together, and then you told me about the Heal the Healer program. And I'll be honest, it was a big investment, and I had to think about it, and I had to ask Spirit, and I was like, is this something that I should do? And the answer was yes. So, you and I spent a lot of time together in the month of October. And in the meanwhile, during that month, I went to Susan Lynn's conference in Chicago and met an incredible bunch of people. And decided, that, well, on the way home from Chicago, I wrote a poem having to do with my experience. And because I just couldn't even articulate it in words. And so I wrote this poem. And I mean, I have this awesome team of physical therapists and occupational therapists that they've been my lifeline for the last, 6, 7, 8 years because of my decline. And one of them was a musician. And so I brought the poem to him and I said, is there any way we can make a song out of this? And he said, oh, yeah, we can make a song. So he and I crafted the song lyrics and then he did the music. And last December, we ended up performing it at the Recovery Project where I go for therapy. And I played the tambourine. And I was in this contraption called the sit to stand, which is basically you could stand up in it. It's just you don't move. It's just and so I stood up in there. I played my tambourine. I sang my song, and I did it. I wasn't embarrassed in the least.
It was so much fun. It was really a lot of fun.
That.
I loved it.
I enjoyed that so much.
Yeah.
And I mean, this guy was a real musician. I mean, he's like, you got to sing. And I'm like, oh no, I love to sing, but I'm not good at it. But, I did a couple of ooh here and there. And that was good enough.
Well, the thing that inspired me about you, Patty, is that you have this incredible group of people surrounding you that love and support you, your family and your husband, obviously. But everywhere you go, there's something about your light that's shining that other people get engaged and they want to support you. Just like your physical therapist writing the music. I mean, he did that over a period of time. He helped you get the hook and the song and everything. And then you guys did a debut where you had an audience. So and then so keep going. And then I want you to tell the story about how the whole tarot reading really came to fruition too at shows.
Right. Well, that was another thing I did at therapy. I would read tarot cards for occupational therapy, and they ask you what your goals are. And I'm like, I want to be able to shuffle a deck of tarot cards because my left hand is really messed up. And
right. Yeah.
I still never got really good at it, but I got a little bit better. But in the meanwhile, I had to do a reading if I was going to shuffle these cards for people. So everybody, that worked there, they're like, oh, can I get a reading?
Yeah.
So yeah, oftentimes I would go and I would be in that sit to stand thing doing a tarot card reading. And Linda, I had something to say about the Recovery Project. I was just there yesterday, and the people who attend there, they're very, very, very bad off. It was raining, and so everybody was trapped in the lobby, and between the wheelchairs and the caregivers and all the equipment that people had, we were all crammed in there because we take up more room than just one person. You got a lot of equipment and you got people who help, and there was legitimately a younger man in a flat, it looked like a stretcher, okay? And he was laying flat. He couldn't sit up. He was laying flat.
Wow.
And his legs were deformed. And yet he had a joystick on he was able to maneuver it with his hand. He was laying flat, like on his stomach, but that he was maneuvering this thing with his hand.
Oh, wow.
An entire stretcher. And
wow.
I was just like, sometimes it strikes me, I'm like, am I as bad off as that person? And sometimes I'll think, oh my God, how is it that these are my people? How is it that I ended up here? How is it that
Yeah.
that I'm here, that I'm with this crowd, that I'm with these people? But I have never met people with more fortitude and more strength and more inner reserves and just, fight. Like that gentleman in that stretcher thing. Can you imagine how difficult it was for him to get ready, for him to get there, for him to brave the rain? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And like I used to feel that way when I was still going to work. Like my daughter used to have to help me before she went, left for school, and she'd help me and get me in the chair, and then I'd have to, take the chair. I'd have to go take the shuttle. I wasn't even driving at that point.
Right.
I went through a lot to get there, and other people would be like rolling in 15, 20 minutes late. Oh man, and I'm thinking to myself, I've lived an entire life this day already, just getting my butt here to work.
Right.
And you have the nerve to complain about traffic? You know what I mean?
Right.
It just really, really puts things into perspective.
It does.
And my I'm not saying that my husband is always, joyfully and eagerly accepted my physical decline, because it's not true. Because when I first got my first wheelchair, whatever, the power wheelchair, he couldn't even look at me. Like he had to look away because it made him so incredibly sad. But and he and I were talking about this last night, and he's like, Patty, he goes, you've always had a good attitude. You've always had a good attitude about this disease. And he said, and I appreciate that, because it's really hard. It's hard to have people look at you in a certain way, and you're not that way. Like people think that I'm mentally incapable of things, like I was trying to buy something at TJ Maxx, and they were like, it's $12.
Oh no. Oh no.
I'm not deaf, and I can understand, that it's $12.
Oh no.
So, and truthfully, I don't really like to talk about the fact that I have MS, because I've gotten so much unsolicited advice. Like people want to say something, they want to be kind, but oftentimes what they say is not kind, and it hurts. And so what I've learned from that is just to keep my mouth shut. Like I try to connect with people on a human to human basis. Like, talk about, do you have kids? What are you feeling? I don't know. I don't really have time to waste on the weather. I don't. I just want to connect with people in a meaningful way, because I have a message to share. And if you're not strong enough to look me in the eye and hear my message, then you're not the one for me. You know what I'm saying? You're not meant to hear my message.
Yeah.
So all my life, I have tried to force myself to be somebody that I'm not. I've tried to belong to groups that I don't belong to. I was on the board at my son's Japanese immersion school. They were all Japanese except me. I was on the board at my kids' swim club. They were all had a higher socioeconomic status than I did. I've always been trying to fit in. I'm the youngest of 5. I always wanted to be like my brothers and sisters, but I'm not. And I guess I just realized that I am a unique individual, and I just need, like you said, I made my own family. I surrounded myself with these human beings that for some reason or another, they really, truly love me. So I can't, I have to be there for them, and I can't go down in the dumps, and I can't, be real negative, because they rely on me.
So you've had a number of people in your life that have helped you to not, go into the dumps and to really raise yourself up, because there's more meaning to your life than having this disease.
Yes. That was one thing I thought. I've been, I can't remember who has been saying it lately. Oh, Susan Lynn, about everything being a lesson, you
Yes.
know, like
Right.
everything's a lesson.
And there's
And
no accidents. There really are no accidents.
so when I got this disease, I thought, okay, what lesson am I going to learn from this disease?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there really, like you said, there are no accidents. And so my husband and I would actually fight about it. And he said, Patty, there's no such thing as karma. He said, you're the nicest person I ever met. And this is not something, that you deserve.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I understand, but if I got it, I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to learn, I'm going to try to learn anyway, try to be the best person I can with the
Right.
circumstances that I'm given.
Right.
And it's not, it's not 100%. I mean, in fact, I see a psychotherapist, right? So I saw her the other day, and the last time I saw her, I was like so positive, Linda. I was like, yes, I got an idea for my book. I said, I got this planned. I'm going to do this. The kids are doing great. And this time I was like, holy crap. Who do I think I am? I'm like, nothing is going right. Everybody hates each other. Someone tried to shoot Trump, and I go, and they were unsuccessful.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh my God, people want Joe Biden to Trump. It all hit me at once, and I was so negative, and I was just
Right.
so negative. And she said to me, Patty, this is what you do. She said, you get to a point where, you're doing good. You're, producing, you're feeling good, you're being creative, and then you knock yourself down. You get really super critical, and that's how you deal with. That's what holds you back. It's this critical part of me. So
Well, but I think there are cycles that happen too. And I know that I felt a shift in July that seemed to be kind of a bit wonky. And I've noticed the energy being like that as well. I mean, look at all the crazy things that are happening. It's like, whoa, we see it, it seems to be kind of out of control, but it gives us a chance to focus again and to realize that we can make a difference by being ourselves, by speaking our truth, and by helping to lift other people up. So, what would you say are your biggest gifts now that you can use to help other people?
um I find that spirit is giving me the words to say that people need to
Good,
hear.
good. And that's your fifth chakra. You found your voice.
I have.
Mm-hmm.
And um I'm just realizing really how intuitive I have been all along. But,
Mm-hmm.
I will start a conversation with someone thinking it's just random, but
Right.
it's really not. And I cannot tell you, especially when I was working at the library, how many strangers would come up to me and just tell me their life story. Like,
Mm-hmm.
tell me their life story, the good, the bad. Somebody was addicted to drugs, somebody's
Wow.
husband. I mean, all of it. And I never knew what to do with that. And,
Mm-hmm.
my husband used to get mad. He's like, you just bring that crap home. But now I think that I have something to offer in return, that I could say, um, I have some words of wisdom
Mm-hmm.
from, my lived experience.
Right. And wisdom. You are the sage. You have a lot of wisdom to share. And wisdom is separate from knowledge, because knowledge is what you get with all the book learning. You have that too. But you've got a connection to spirit that's unique to you. And then when your spirit speaks through you, those are words of wisdom that help people. And so let's talk about how the whole, you started doing readings for money.
Yes, I
Let me find this for you again. And people can actually sign up and get a reading from you. Would love that.
Yes. I gained, confidence by reading for family and friends, and then I went to actually an MS event, and I volunteered my time, and did some readings for strangers, and decided, I should start charging. Thank you, Linda. And so
Yes.
Man and I went to a bridal expo beginning of the year, and I was marketing my services for weddings and showers. And I must have read about 100, if not 150 people that
Wow.
weekend. Yeah,
That's a lot. That's a
yeah,
lot.
just quick, 3-card
Yeah.
reads.
Right.
But I'm studying to be a shaman now, and tarot has become so ingrained in how I think about things that I could even think of a card that would,
Wow. It's a
evoke,
whole language.
yeah, the
A
whole
whole
language.
Yeah, that's fabulous.
And I'm comfortable enough actually with the cards now to, it's a tool. You know what I mean? I'm learning that
Mhm.
it is a tool and that I may not necessarily need that tool. So
Well, do you have your cards with you by chance?
I do.
You want to pull a card or
I,
two
I
for us?
actually, I was going to do a quick reading for you about your
Let's
upcoming
do it. Let's do
nuptials.
it. Okay.
I'm just going to pull 3 cards, Linda.
All right.
This is about you and David.
Me and David.
Yeah, your wedding.
Oh, yeah. David and I are getting married August 13th.
Oh, look, we got the Joe Biden card, the King of Cups. I bet you,
Oh,
Dave, this represents your David. I never met him, but I can't wait to.
Yeah.
So we got the 6 of Pentacles, which is giving and receiving money generously. You make your money through generosity. So I think it's cool that you're getting married at your school where you teach, right? Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
She was generous enough to let us use that space because we were just going to go to Sacramento to the city hall with my dad and my stepmom. And then it all kind of fell into place where the owner of the school says, well, why don't you get married here?
And see, this is like a shared resources. You've already helped them out by teaching there, and now they're returning the favor. But I got the 10. I got the 10 of Wands, which is a burden. I mean, are you burdened with the planning of this, or?
Well, it's a lot of money that we didn't expect to spend. So, that's why I have a birthday and wedding fund. And I'll put that up where you can purchase a 50% off reading with me. And that's going to go towards my wedding fund. In fact, if Sharon, you can find that, it's the wedding fund one for the 50% off the chakra psychic reading and healing. Okay. Was there more?
I just pulled the quick 3 cards.
Okay.
That was it. But on the bottom is the Queen of Cups. So the Queen of Cups is marrying the King of Cups.
And we're both feeling, I'm a Cancer and he's got his Venus in Cancer, which is interesting. So that's how we relate to each other emotionally, because we've got that water energy. Yeah. Good. So I want to thank you so much for coming on my show and sharing your story. I know that this is a really vulnerable story for you to share. And I appreciate that you stepped out and did this, because I know that you're making a difference with others. And Peace Mama here already related to you. She said something early on that the timing was great for this. So you guys have a way. So in the information below this, you're going to find ways to get a hold of Patty. You'll find ways to get a hold of me. And know that I have the chakra psychic. Let me find it here. chakra psychic reading that's 50% off. And what you get in that is a 30-minute session. I'm sorry, a 1 hour session. And let me find it. There's so many things written here. All right. Okay, we've got to find it. And what you get with that is a chakra reading. I actually test your energy to see what's happening with you energetically. I do a distance Reiki treatment on you. So no matter what condition you are in before, you're going to be balanced by the time you leave. I also do a gemstone card reading and another type of healing for you. So it's a really comprehensive session with us, and we do this on Zoom. Then you also get a copy of your session afterwards. So I'm not seeing it here. Okay, look down below, and please, please, please subscribe to my channel. And we're going to get you online too at some point.
Well,
right?
Can I mention one thing?
Here it is. Here it is. Thank you, Sharon.
Aw.
There it is.
So right behind me.
There's not a link. Oh, here it is. Okay, now we'll show this. There we go. Okay.
So behind me here is the tree in my backyard. And I have a story, of course. I always have a story, but
Good.
Like I told you, I'm working on a book. I'm working on actually 3 books simultaneously, because that's another thing I figured out during the pandemic is that I think I might be ADHD or something, but I could read. Well, first of all, I could read upside down, which I never knew I could do. But I learned it as a children's librarian, reading these books to kids, and you got to look down or whatever, but you got to hold them up so the kids can see them. So I learned how to read upside down. So anyway, I'm working on 3 books simultaneously. One is a picture book, and it's called Beauty, and it's about this tree back here. This tree's name is Beauty.
Oh, wonderful.
And
wow.
So there's a picture book about the tree, and then there's a tween book about an 11-year-old named Rachel who talks to trees. And so her book is called The Girl Who Talks to Trees. And in her book, she's going to be writing a picture book. She's going to be writing that picture book. And and then at the same time, I'm working on a memoir of my own experience writing, a tween book or whatever, and also becoming, my spiritual awakening. And I took a plant communication class last week, so hopefully this will help me.
I love it. I love it.
So it's like 3 books in one. I can't just have one idea. I'm exploding with creativity.
That is so great. Well, I thank you, J.A. Bulba, if I didn't say that right. First time watching the channel. They subscribe. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to say, or are there any questions from people that are viewing at this time?
I apologize for not having all of my electronic availability available. You could just email me. It's P Goonis or GoonisP@gmail. It's not Wounded Healer Tarot. It's just GoonisP@gmail.
Oh, it's not?
No.
Okay. When I put this in here, it's separate when it's written, but then somehow it all gets together. Okay. GoonisP
@gmail.
@gmail.
Yes. And the Calendly link will work. So.
Okay. Here we go. Is that it?
That's it.
Yay.
I just want to thank you, of course, for this opportunity.
And thank you. Thank you. You have been an inspiration to me. And I love that we have developed a friendship out of this. And, you're in my life for life. So.
My Reiki sister.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I'm your Reiki mom.
Yeah.
You're my Reiki child.
It's funny. I call my shaman teacher, I call him Sage. That's his name.
Yeah,
And
sage.
then his teacher I call Gramps.
There you go. So please join all channels. Help to hit the thumbs up, subscribe.
Oh,
Great. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, Patty. I love you, and let's do this again sometime.
for sure, for sure. I'm gonna get out there some way or another.
Well, you could do tarot card readings, and I can do gemstone card readings.
Yeah,
We could do that together. How's
yeah,
that?
we could.
Would you guys like that?
I've done that before, like where I've done like a group tarot reading of somebody, and it worked out pretty well. So
That's cool.
yeah,
Okay.
and we got good energy. We can read each other's minds.
That's right. And hearts. Okay.
Yes.
Peace, Mama. Thank you for showing up. Good luck, Patty.
Yes.
Be gentle with yourself. You got
Thank
this.
you. Thank
Yay.
you.
Okay.
Thank you. And thanks to Deborah too for the support.
Deborah. Oh, Deborah. And thank you, Sharon, for helping us. You have been fabulous. I really appreciate you. Okay. All right. Very good. I love you. Mwah.
You too. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Patty.
Bye.